Welcome to Suspire Talks. It's a new interview series where we bring to you the most enterprising, inspiring, and sustainable brands across India. For our second episode, we have the very inspiring and enterprising co-founder of Wati, Upasana. Upasana, thank you for joining. Would you please introduce yourself to our viewers and just tell us a bit more about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Upasana, and we have a tea estate in Himachal, in Palampur, called Wati Estate. It's been in our family since the 1950s, 1953 to be exact. And, we've always concentrated on single estate, close to origin teas. So we produce Kangra style teas, what you would have essentially without milk and sugar. So your green and orthodox black teas. And these are all sustainable in the sense that they're also pesticide and weedicide-free teas from our estate. The estate is fairly large. It's over 500 acres. So we get a fair amount of tea that we're able to, thankfully, even experiment with. And that's part of the fun of being able to grow the brand as well.
Wow, amazing. 500 acres. That is a huge space. I've also had, by the way, someone visit your estate and give great recommendations. So,
so bad.
I believe it's also more of a lodge and a place to stay and experience the teas that you would have on offer as well.
Correct. I think what we realized over time is, of course, the lodge, which is our homestay, is on the tea estate, and that has attracted a lot of people. And through that, what we realized is people come to the estate, but they don't really know much about how tea is manufactured or how you get that single cup of tea to your desk. So we started incorporating a tea experience at the tea estate, and that is open to all visitors, not just the people who stay with us. And we got such an amazing feedback from that. A lot of people who came in, we'll always hear a lot of them say, "Oh, I wasn't even a tea drinker, I was a coffee drinker, and now I'm enjoying." They've become our regular customers. In fact, I would say over 80% of the people who visit the tea estate end up reordering tea online from us. So it's nice to see how people have gone from not knowing anything to really enjoying their tea experience. And we always end with a pretty large session of tasting, so they can taste about 17 to 19 different varieties of teas.
Amazing. And I guess experience honestly is everything to customers nowadays, and to add on and add more value to that, and that definitely will drive a lot more loyalty. So great start. Just going back to your beginning, right? So what maybe inspired you to start the brand? I believe you're doing this with your co-founder. And what are the things, if you were to start again, what are the things that you would do differently?
Maybe I wouldn't work with my husband. I'm just kidding. So honestly, the one thing that I would do different is start the brand earlier. We messed up with taking our time with it, which we thought was smarter because we were measuring our steps. We were figuring out the ground level semantics, what people like, what people don't, what works for us. And while that's great, it also took us incredibly long to decide to go ahead and start the brand. We've always had Wati as a domestic brand, so like it's a bulk wholesale tea, and we only started retailing a few years ago and started really concentrating on growing the retail brand a few years ago. And looking at the looking at the response now, I think we could have started a lot earlier.
Right. I think this is something that we hear a lot from founders, right? Because it's one of the issues that we all face, which is we're always waiting for the right time, and we're always waiting to see, we want things to be perfect before we start. But I guess it's always best to just get into it and then let it be perfect eventually through your experiences and learning. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can definitely, I think all founders and co-founders can agree.
Yes.
Great. Also would love to know what inspired you to, or rather, what is the reason for naming the brand Wati?
So actually, So the previous owners of Wati Estate were from a place called Wa, which is now in Pakistan. So this was all then part of Punjab. And after the partition, the previous owners were forced to leave and move to Pakistan. And Wa essentially over time came down to our family. We decided to retain the name. Also, I think it's the ethos, the Wa meaning wow. It was just like a nice feeling to be able to continue with that name and I guess kind of keep the tradition alive of that name.
Great. No, I mean, definitely resonates so much with the Indian audience, right? I think going back historically as well, when with a lot of these tea brands coming in, I think there's been certain captions saying "wow." They've used the word "wow" very well over with their taglines, the tea brands, and having a brand name for that, I think really resonates, and I think it's very apt as well. Something that you're trying to do. So yeah, it works out pretty well. Moving on to the next question. So just would like to know any major hurdles or problems that you faced, when you were starting. So you mentioned one of the problems, I guess, like we discussed, how each entrepreneur would like to sort of delay the launch that they get things perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of what the details were that you want to get perfect, what are the challenges and hurdles that sort of stopped the launch happening at that particular time and postponed it to a later date?
So actually, I would say slightly disconnected, but one of the major challenges that we faced is kind of bringing forward the fact that we are single estate teas directly from source. What happens now is there's a certain dilution that has come in the market where a lot of brands will say, oh, we're directly from the garden to your cup. But essentially, these companies are often brands that are buying from estates like ours and then repackaging it and selling it on. So very rarely is it actually directly from the tea estate. Whereas if people order anywhere in India, for the online orders, that's all coming directly from Wati estate to their home. So in fact, sometimes there might be a longer time for the actual delivery, but that's because we're sending it fresh from the garden. Mm-hmm. This was one thing that we thought that we had down because this is something that was our strong point, but because of the dilution in the market, it's been a bit difficult to bring about the reality and the honesty of that statement for us.
Now, I think with the modern e-commerce trends and a lot of these marketplaces of quick delivery, 1-day delivery, 2-day delivery, often to a consumer, they may not sort of understand that a sustainable brand, something that is directly from origin, something that is made to order, for example, as well, takes time to make, takes time to deliver. So I think that's also one thing that we're trying to educate consumers, saying quick delivery times is something that we've gotten used to with say your Amazons and your Flipkart and all these bigger players.
Correct.
However, for a true sustainable brand, when they're probably made to order, or for a brand like yours, I feel like they need to sort of accustom to the fact that it could take some time to deliver, and that's because it's great quality. There is a meaning behind it, and it's actually there's enough effort being put into your specific order. So
absolutely.
That's what a true sustainable brand also sort of stands for, right? Which I think needs to be a bit more put across out there to consumers, because for us as well, we're seeing complaints, often saying delivery times, we're not getting. But yeah, I guess these are all things that we're habituated by to modern e-commerce trends, and I think, of course, the ideal scenario is we get it at the same time, but I think we're moving there. I think people are also understanding and realizing that it's okay to wait a few more days to get the right product that is apt for what they want. Amazing. So I would love to know about if there are any exciting new collaborations, projects, anything new that you guys are doing coming up, any other plans for expansions on the lodges, any sort of future plans that you guys have.
So actually, we've got an exciting product coming up that's just about getting launched. These are gift boxes that we have collaborated with an NGO called Dakshini Prayas, which is Kolkata based. So they are creating these handcrafted and customized to what we require, handcrafted papers that are hand block printed. And these are done by the women in a village close by, so in West Bengal itself, which the NGO supports. This is going to be used as a cover for these collectible and reusable boxes. And they're also doing these ikat coasters that we'll be able to put in the box along with the teas. So we're pretty excited about that because this is an NGO that's been doing some incredible work. Part of the proceeds go towards the education of the 400 children that they have in the NGO there. So hopefully we'll see a great response to this, and we're really excited about that.
Amazing. Good luck, and congratulations on this new project. Would love to know a bit more about the NGO. Is it something that where is it based out of? What exactly do they do? If you could just tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, they're based out of Kolkata. They kind of, so most of their work is centered around the education of the children that are within their schooling. But they also help the mothers, so the women who are in and around that area. And so while we wanted to do something that would help the NGO, we realized that with the children, it's not possible to have them do a lot of the more delicate handicrafts. So they decided to pull in the mothers to help with this project, and the women have been very happy to be able to be a part of this. So, which is why the proceeds will still go towards the education of the children, but then it ultimately helps the moms as well.
Amazing. I think such a big part of being a sustainable brand also sort of entails giving back to society. So,
Absolutely.
For example, Suspire, we've collaborated with 2 different NGOs in the environmental space. We're focusing on tree plantations and coral tile plantations, right? It's just about giving back. And I think we're trying to do a lot more collaboration as well with NGOs. Hopefully, we can reach out to the NGO that you have also collaborated with, and hopefully figure out, partner away and see how we can take things ahead. So exciting. Any plans for an expansion in the tea lodges? Any other tea lodges?
Not really at the moment. We've got a couple of ideas in mind, but nothing concrete at the moment. We did start. So the lodge, it was kind of taken off as its own brand. The main one, of course, our flagship will be on our tea estate. But the second one is in a pinewood forest area, so it's close by, but it's not on the tea estate itself. What we're planning to do now is to concentrate on more activities that are outdoor focused towards the tea estate. So some more, picnics within the estate, high teas, things like that. So we're working currently. I mean, obviously right now it's the rainy season, so there's not much we can do with testing, but we're working towards creating those activities now.
That sounds a lot of fun, and hopefully we get some time to come in and visit your estate sometime soon.
That would be amazing.
Honestly, so like I said, gotten great reviews. So for everyone watching as well, please do have a look and drop by when you can.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on to the next question. I think it's something a bit more serious that I wanted to get your opinion on. There's a lot of talk going on about greenwashing. And what are your thoughts about that, and what do you think would be your advice to consumers viewing this as to how they can stay true to their values, and how Wati as a brand also stays true to its own values, and what would you your thoughts on how you are avoiding and the whole greenwashing effect, and how you guys are building your own sort of definition of sustainability and coming through for that.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely something that's pervasive, not just within products, but also I see that with tourism. Greenwashing has been kind of taking over. A lot of people are making claims, might not be able to support it. So it's a bit difficult to navigate those waters because as a consumer, you often don't know the reality of what is happening on ground. But what we always recommend to consumers is look into the story behind the brand. I mean, look at what the founders are saying or doing. Check their Instagram feed, see what they're putting up. A lot of the brands that are really true to their story will constantly be putting up updates, and it doesn't have to look good. I mean, it's not a matter of just like making it Instagrammable per se. It's about just sharing what you're doing on ground and in real time. And that is something that as a brand, we've tried to do. We've shared our story as much as possible. We keep putting up updates in terms of what we're doing in the factory and what's happening on the estate. We've never told guests, we've never told consumers that if, a certain tea is not organic, we'll never call it organic. Even if it's from the organic section of a garden, we won't call it organic unless the entire manufacturing process is organic as well. So we've been very careful about that. We'll say we're pesticide and weedicide free because we are. But if we don't have a certification for a certain tea, we will not do that. And also, I think for us, getting our teas regularly tested, making sure that we are on point when it comes to all the requirements that will actually help a consumer know that this is ground level reality. That's been important to us, and we're pretty good about ensuring that we keep up with that.
Amazing. I think it's really astounding and very refreshing to find brands like yours that are so transparent and coming up with ways to ensure that transparency stays throughout and educate your consumers as well as consumers on Suspire, right? So yeah, kudos to you guys on ensuring that you stay true to your values, and I think it's a lesson for everyone watching that this is something that's of course very important to do and adds tremendous value to both your brand as well as to who you are as a person. So yeah. Great. Sorry. So last question before we move on to the next segment, right? So what advice would you give to consumers looking to shift to a more sustainable lifestyle?
In terms of shifting to a sustainable lifestyle, we always say, and for me personally, the journey has always been a bit slow. Like, I don't try to push myself beyond a certain limit. Again, it's almost like a form of greenwashing where people are like, oh, you must do everything absolutely sustainable and organic. It's not really possible sometimes. I mean, it's too difficult with the kind of places we live, or it might be the lifestyle we lead, or the current situation at home. So, do it slowly, do it carefully, think about the kind of ways that you can incorporate the different products and find out about the products themselves, and take it step by step. I mean, do it in a way that is actually conducive for a long-term plan versus something that people are testing out and then having to drop because it's not feasible with their current lifestyle.
No, I think that is very inspiring, and we definitely want to communicate the same sort of advice that you're giving, right? So very impactful. Thank you for sharing that. We'll move on to the next segment, which we call the rapid fire segment, right? So there's a few questions that I have. I'll just quickly go through that, and then you can share your thoughts on those.
Okay, sure.
So can you recall an interaction with a customer that made you realize the impact of your eco-friendly brand?
Yeah, actually, we had someone who ordered our teas for a sustainable and eco-friendly wedding that they were having. So that was really amazing because, I mean, anyone who's been to any of the Indian weddings knows how difficult it is to have an eco-friendly wedding. That itself was really inspiring. The fact that they selected our teas out of all the others that could have been part of their journey and this beautiful moment, that was really amazing. And they made sure that they displayed it in a way that was, again, not using, like, all of their events were using very sustainable and very reusable or organic materials, and that was really nice to see. So definitely something that encouraged us to continue with this journey.
All right. Name a city that you think is the biggest market for sustainable goods.
The one that I would say is most open to it is probably Bangalore, because they already have such a high intent on being sustainable in general. But I see this trend changing throughout the cities in India, whether it's tier 2, tier 3, whatever it is. I think at the individual level, people are really understanding the importance of being sustainable, and that has really kind of been able to propel us forward in a lot of ways beyond just the tier 1 cities.
No, absolutely. I think for us as well, we're seeing, of course, tier 1 being the biggest market because of course, they can afford the products as well as they're more aware and educated. However, we're seeing a huge growth in tier 2, tier 3 as well. I think over time, of course, the more demand there is for such products, the more aware people get. It's only a trend to follow all across, and we're hoping that the demand comes in big numbers for all of us. And moving on to the next question, what's your go-to vegan dish that you love preparing yourself?
I'm not much of a cook, to be honest, but I think tofu, anything which is easy to make. It's I've been vegetarian all my life, but I think I have a particular weakness for anything tofu.
So, Upasana, what's a specific lifestyle change you made to sort of imbibe the values that you want to that also stand with your brand?
I mean, very close to home without being, or rather, maybe I'm being too obvious about this, but is actually being a bit more careful about the kind of teas I'm consuming. Because, I mean, teas or coffees, to be honest. It's not just that I'm particular with tea. But I quickly realized after seeing, how, I mean, we've always been Wati partial, but then looking at the other places around us, there are some amazing estates for both coffee and tea, and they're doing incredible work. They're on ground. They're really trying to make an impact in different ways, and it's been nice to be able to sample the teas and coffees from all these different single origin estates across India and sometimes outside of India as well.
All right, great. I can personally vouch for the Wati teas. And they're amazing. I think I drink green tea and coffee, and honestly love your product. So
thank you so much.
All right, yeah, I think this is the end of the interview. Would really like to thank you once again for your time and for sharing your insightful opinions. I think all the viewers as well as us are really inspired by what you guys do, and wish you the best. And hopefully we see a lot more growth for you guys as well as for us through you guys.
Thank you so much. No, I think Suspire has been doing such a wonderful job. I see the products that you guys have, and it's all very carefully selected, very thoughtfully curated. And I think for someone who's, we're talking about greenwashing, it is such an easy way to kind of just decide to go on Suspire versus having to research a ton of things about each brand, because you know that you'll be selecting the right product, at least in that regard.
Thank you so much. Means a lot. And Upasana, we'll call it an end here. And thanks a lot for your time. Hope to stay in touch and talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Take care.
Thank you. Take care, Upasana. Thanks.
Bye.